Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next movie review. And today I'll be reviewing another film from this year that I did not see. I did not see until I got it on DVD though. But because the thing is though, this film didn't do jack shit in the theaters. From what I would say pretty sure, definitely would say it was a box office flop. Sad to say though. But so yeah, I didn't do jack shit in the theater. So it only just a measly what 4 million. Even though the film got positive reviews from critics, though, like a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, really enough. But I didn't see this until I got this on DVD, and you know what? I had fun with this film. It was I would say I put this. It was definitely I would say I'll probably say right now, I'll probably put this in my top three favorites of this year. Because Magazine Dreams, I definitely like that film. Like I said about Jonathan Majors, I already said my thoughts on that. But and along with a couple of other ones I liked. But this film. So today we're reviewing of definitely I would say is one of my favorite films this year, and that is an action film called Fight or Flight, and it stars Josh Hartnett. Yeah, Josh Hartnett, which I'm glad that he's doing. He's got more lead roles though, because for a good amount of years, he really hasn't done much, until I mean after he did like Black Hawk Down, that was in like 2000, like in late 2001. A couple of things he did after that though, like there was 2004 with Hollywood Homicide with Harrison Ford, which I actually do like though. It's not everybody's cup of tea though, but I actually like Hollywood Homicide. But like from then onwards, to like after the 2000s and like 2010s, he hasn't really fully done much. But it's nice that he's getting back into more lead roles. I mean, he's been in supporting roles. He was in as for supporting roles, he was in Wrath of Man with Jason Statham. I actually did not mind that film. He had a supporting role in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. But as a lead though, he was really good in this. He was a lot of fun in this film. And thing is though, last year he was the lead in Trap from M Night Shyamalan. Good night Shyamalan, I would say. Good night. He wasn't the problem in Trap. He wasn't. He was good in that though, but the problem was it was his freaking M Night Shyamalan. As per usual, because oh, there was a twist, all right. Yeah, because from the trailer, you didn't see much in the trailer though, but the twist was it was really his daughter. He was got more screen time. The singer, right? Because it made you think it didn't show much of her in the trailer, but she was more in the later in the second half of the film. So there's always a twist. You got to showcase his daughter too more. But Josh Hartnett, like I said, he wasn't the problem in that film though. He was good in that though, but I'm not a fan of Trap. But here, he was definitely a lot of fun in this film. Josh Hartnett, he did a good job. He was funny, and the action some of the stuff he did was good. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed this film. It was a fun action film, and yeah, from the producer of John Wick. But it's just funny enough. I think people are getting tired of the style of John Wick stuff because there was a film I did not mind though, but I think it could have been better. Sorry, King Koyan. A film called Love Hurts. Him who played. Remember he played Shorty from the second Indiana Jones film, and then he won his Data from the Goonies, and he also won his Oscar performance for Everything Everywhere and All at Once. He started in the film called Love Hurts. Was also from the producer John Wick though, but it was flawed though. But I did not mind it, but I think it just could have been better. But that film was a flop because I think people are getting sort of tired of the sort of whatever the people say, the producer of John Wick or whoever, right? I think people are getting tired of seeing it because Ballerina did not do not well. I mean, well, yeah, it made more than the first film, yes, but box office wise, I think you're thinking after coming off of the fourth John Wick film, it'd be a much bigger hit, but no. I think people are starting to get a little bit tired of the sort of the John Wick style stuff like this. But but you know what? I like Nobody. I like Bullet Train. And speaking of Bullet Train, I think this is what best way I can describe it. If I were to describe because I like Bullet Train with Brad Pitt, but I think this would be a best description of the just like Bullet Train. It's this film. It's that film, but it's on a plane, and it's kind of has a couple of similarities. Like okay, like a Bullet Train, like Brad Pitt, the lead. He has a job to do. Um, and he's talking by the person on the other end of the phone. Of course, in that film it was Sandra Bullock. Here, on the person he's talking getting the info is Katie Sackhoff, and then he's put into like a transportation uh vehicle. Plane's not a vehicle, but like how the train was full of assassins, and like now this plane is full of assassins, right? So there's a bit of similarities. Or people could just say this it's a knockoff of Bullet Train, but you know what? I like Bullet Train. You know what? Go ahead, make it like just like on an airplane version of Bullet Train. Then how about that? And put Josh Hartnett. Okay, and like I said, he was fun. He was definitely fun in this film. I enjoy the action sequences. Yeah, there are some CG enhancements though, but you know what? How the way the action scenes are shot and stuff like and the way the ideas behind it. The CGI blood at times I can give this time I can give some leniency because I'm always such a pain in the ass about CG blood nowadays. I always prefer things practical blood squibs and stuff like that. But as long as I'm enjoying the action sequences and the fun and having fun with the film, I can give leeway on that though. But like I said, this one didn't do jack squat in the theaters. So it was a flop, sad to say. And the ending was kind of leaving for a sequel, but like I said, it flopped, so we're not gonna get a sequel, sad to say. But anyway, Fight or Flight. So it starts off with this sort of agency, right? And they're looking for this hacker called the Ghost. No one's ever seen him before. No one knows what it looks like. And he's been hacking into all these accounts and stuff, right? Which is going to be spoilers though, but I'll get to that though. And so the leader, the lady named Brunt, is played by Katie Sackhoff, who I like. She was good in the who was the character name? She was in the Mandalorian. She was among one of the groups of the Mandalorian, wearing the type, which, screw it. Every single time, every single time. Okay, Craze or Craze. I think it's Craze. She voiced the character in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, but she plays that character again in Star Wars: The Mandalorian, and then of course she played in the 2000 series of Battlestar Galactica. She was in the third film of the Riddick franchise called Riddick. That was technically the third film. But I mainly remember Katie Sackhoff for the most was back when she starred in Halloween Resurrection. She was the character Jen, who was like to scream a lot, But this time Michael Myers comes in and and cuts her head off and her head falls down the stairs. That was Katie Sackhoff from Halloween Resurrection. But she's the leader of this group, and so they want to find out want to find out who this hacker is, who's the ghost. So she goes and asks Josh Hartnett, who, long story short, like they used to be a thing together, a couple back then, and so and he's in Bangkok, and he's asleep in this vehicle, and I gotta say, not only they say that it's like it's a different version of Bullet Train, but um I noticed there's a probably at this, like, especially for this instance, there's like this one and another, like an odd a nod to another film that I really love. I find this kind of similar to a couple of nods to The Last Boy Scout away. Our guy Josh Hartnett, he's asleep in a vehicle and a kid tries to wake him up. And like in The Last Boy Scout, but it's more than one kid. They try waking Bruce Willis up. He's sleeping in his car, and this time, but the only thing is, they throw a dead squirrel on him. But like I say, like both guys, like Josh Hartnett, Bruce Willis, they're like drunk, asleep in their vehicles, and like while kids tries to wake them up, right? So, that's like kind of like similar to The Last Boy Scout, and another nod to The Last Boy Scout, because the reason why, because Josh Hartnett's character, a little backstory, is that he used to be in the Secret Service. He used to be in the Secret Service. He was protected this dictator, whoever, a political figure. And so, just like in The Last Boy Scout, Bruce Willis was part of that senator's Secret Service, right? And they're outside the door guarding, right? And while he hears a noise, just like Bruce Willis was, he goes in, and the guy in this film and the senator in The Last Boy Scout, they're both beating up prostitutes. And so Bruce Willis punches the senator in the face, and here Josh Hartnett basically does the same thing, but he does it repeatedly more than once, though. So you do get the couple of references to The Last Boy Scout, which, that's another thing. Okay, you got like Bullet Train, and you kind of like reference The Last Boy Scout. I don't think that was not their intention to reference The Last Boy Scout, though. But to me, hey, if it's like that reference, if it is referencing The Last Boy Scout, okay, because I love The Last Boy Scout. I think it's one of two of my favorite films from director Tony Todd. Bruce Willis is great in it, which, yeah, I don't talk about this because it's sensitive, though. But sad about Bruce Willis, but how him and his dementia, how his mind is starting to go. So sad about Bruce Willis. It really saddens me deeply, because he's one of my all-time favorite action heroes, from Die Hard and The Last Boy Scouts, and it really saddens me. But okay, if it's like referencing The Last Boy Scout, because like I said, I love The Last Boy Scout. I think that's one of an underrated action film from the 90s. And like I said, one of my all-time favorite films from director Tony Scott, and love Bruce Willis in the movie. I enjoy Damian Wayans, the bad guys. So, but anyway, getting back to the beginning, like I said, he's like drunk in his vehicle. The kid tries to wake him up, tries to steal his money, but he wakes up, kind of scares the kid, but he does give him the money. So he goes to this bar, and he gets a call from on the phone that says, absolute effing see you, as in, see you next Tuesday. And he's like surprised. She's calling her. She's calling him because it's been 2 years. Like, you call me after 2 years. Tells about this job he has to do to find this ghost and keep protected until the plane reaches San Francisco. And Josh Hartnett goes and says, well, why don't you take those big balls of yours and go fuck yourself? So that was pretty funny. And he's like, because of this, he's been on the run ever since. Like, he's been running ever since. He's basically almost like a wanted man. And these guys come in, and he's like, oh, really? This is the only time I get to drink in peace. And then it cuts away to him getting in the taxi because he's accepting the job, and the taxi driver was like, "Wet wipes," and he does it because he cleans himself up. And those guys in the bar, when it cuts away, you think that he got, well, Josh Hart got beaten up, but you think those guys got beaten up? No. The next thing you know, later on, they look at the video footage of the camera from that bar, and Katee Sackhoff and this other guy seeing people dragging those guys' dead bodies on body bags. So it shows what a badass that Josh Hartnett is, because the guy who was with Katee Sackhoff was like, this guy's a psychopath, a crazy psychopath. So he gets to the airport. They gave him a new passport. He gets in there with ease. So he boards the plane. And so he had to be on the lookout for this ghost because Katee Sackhoff says that the ghost is wounded, because from the footage they saw, a person got shot. So, and they got it from this vet. So the wounded, so he has to keep a lookout for him. And so, and then one of the action fights we get is he's sitting next to this guy who kind of like wants to be a star, and so he basically roofies his drink, right? Takes him to this bathroom, gets into like, I thought it was kind of a funny fight because Josh Hartnett is drugged up, right? Like, he tries to fight though, because since he's on the drugs, he's kind of like a little wobbly as he's trying to fight, right? So he's like, whoa, as he's trying to fight. And then when he tries to get on this toilet, Josh Hartnett just pushed the guy up from the toilet, and then I thought it was kind of a cool kill, because I hardly never get to see this type of kill. Josh Hartnett to raise that guy up, and he impales the guy's head through this sprinkler head. So he actually impales the guy's head through this sprinkler head. I'm like, ooh, never seen that type of kill before. And I also like the fact that afterwards he gets in the shower and he uses like the shampoo bottle, right? At first I'm like, what is he doing? Right? And so he's trying to swallow the shampoo so he can puke. So as he's puking out the drugs. Okay. And it's like, okay, now I get it. And so he gets the two flight attendants in. And so to explain what's going on about the plane's full of assassins and such, right? And so one thing leads to another. The female attendant, her right here, right there, her. I like the fact that Josh Hartnett figures it out quite quickly. Because, usually towards the end of the film, they give the big reveal, oh, this is the person, right? Of someone who's mysterious, right? But Josh Hartnett kind of gets her identity right away. Turns out, what's her name? Charithra, Chandran, as this girl. I mispronounced her name. Sorry. As Isha. She's actually she's the ghost. So at first they assumed it was a he, but it turns out it was this young girl, because she has the bullet wound right here, and so one thing leading to another. He explains later, she explains to Josh Hartnett the reason why she hacked in. It's basically these electronic companies, because to build like their cheap phones, etc. Right? They were hiring child labor, basically slaves. So the reason why she was doing all this because of those poor kids. So she was hacking them, stealing the money and stuff, right? So I like the idea she was doing it for a good cause. For freeing the children from, slave labor, you could say. So I do like the fact she was doing all this. People think, because the people think, oh, she's doing this as a crime, but it turns out she's doing it for a good cause. So I did like that, though. And to give more fun action sequences where eventually they fight a whole bunch of people. I mean, it tends to go crazy. Like, the first he fights Josh Hart fights these three people, and so um like this one girl, like he slams her head into one of the tall glasses, and it's in her eye. And I like the fact that too, when he's on the floor and she's like this, right, and the glass is still in her eye. I do like the fact he goes and headbutts the glass to impale it into her head even further. I did like how he uses pun intended. He did literally use his noggin. And then with the other guy at the bar, and that game became an cringe moment because he goes and breaks that guy's arm. You see the arm kind of like just go the other way, and that kind of gave me like a cringy moment, like just how the way the arm bended like that. Ooh, it was like, oh shit. So that was kind of a cool move there. So the other five attendants are which they tell the pilots as well, but the attendants tells them where they are, and like one guy tries to take Isha out, but Isha was smart. She was giving a guy his coffee, right, but she slipped in a little something extra in his coffee, and the guy passed out. But and Josh is like, oh, it's okay, I gave him a sedative, and then Josh was like, the guy's dead. He's like, oh, too much, I guess. So, and then with the more fun fights, like where when it's all the people within the coach seats, right? When because before all the started, the film opened up basically like 12 hours. You know how the whole thing where it shows like the present, right, and then it cuts to the beginning like something hours earlier beforehand. So like the opening of it shows like the whole chaos that's going on, and you have like dun 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 dun, like that song playing. So it's just going to go show the chaos leading to later on. So, and I also like more interesting ideas, like when when everyone is getting in a hustle because Isha has these three Japanese women, helping her out because she helped out them because it was for also involved with children. So these three women, they're good. They're good. They align themselves up with Isha, and then a lot of the action sequence. Like I said, a lot of this uses of CGI blood, but you know what? Because I'm enjoying the fights and the action sequences, I can give leniency on that though, leeway. And so when all the those the big huge fight, in the whole coach part, right, where everyone's fighting each other. Like one guy has like a clarinet and pulls on the top part and pulls it to be a knife, or people are shooting. Like Josh uses one guy as a shield to get the bullets. And so, and also like this I had to laugh at this because I did not expect this. There's this one assassin, this woman, right, and he has like certain gaze, but it's not affecting him, Josh Hartnett. And so next thing because well, first of all, because he's on this hallucinogen because he took a bottle that was supposed to be from the vet from earlier, and I thought it was supposed to be like morphine or adrenaline, and it turns out it wasn't. It was for dogs, so it was kind of making him a little more hyper. So it was like, hey, um, um but then but with going back with the lady. And then with reverse, he's like, because he says since he's on the drug, like this scene here where he's like smiling, right? Because he's on the drug, and he sees fireworks coming out of the woman's head, right? And so when he was gonna step aside, it cuts back to reality, and it shows the blood is spurting all over this one passenger. But it turns out that Josh Hartnett had the thing, like those ice pick things that you climb when you go rock, like mountain climbing. It has ice, like one of those. He stabbed the woman in the head, and then her head just starts spewing out blood. It's getting all over the one passenger. I'm like, jeez, you know. And plus, like, the whole idea, like I said, just him getting slower, you know, just staying right where he is, and so, oh man. And if it was not, and if it was not crazy enough, Isha gives him a chainsaw. So we're literally getting a Texas Chainsaw Massacre on this plane, because he's cutting up limbs, and or basically cutting one guy in half, like this, like the one guy. I think it was. No, it wasn't. I was thinking of something else. So, but that was kind of funny. Like, okay, but then, but that was a fun idea. I had me cracking up, and like I said, and then with the whole chainsaw. Like I said, I didn't think it was expecting to be getting a Texas Chainsaw Massacre type style in this. Because, like I said, there's CGI blood, but like I said, I can give leniency on it because I enjoy the action sequences. Because there's basically one guy practically in half. Like, we see from the point of view, like the guy was facing us. We see from his point of view, like the chainsaw literally going down the half of the guy's body. I'm like, damn, you know? And so, but that was pretty cool though, splitting that one person in half. And then he's throwing it, and he gets one guy in the face. And then when all the other passengers are waiting on the other side of the plane where the pilots are, and so Josh brings in the chainsaw and the severed head, right? And so, and then these two pilots like they actually get themselves killed, but these two guys who go in there, and when they come out, they see Josh Hart with a chainsaw. They're like, "Hey, someone killed the pilots! Someone killed the pilots!" I'm like, so that's another one I found pretty funny as well. You know, him taking the responsibility off of him, thinking he didn't do anything. Yeah. And so, and then the guys want nothing to do with him because he knows how dangerous he is, especially holding the chainsaw. So, it's like, hey, someone killed the pilots. And so him and, because I think he got stabbed right down here. So he's in a bleeding out. And so the girl tells him, hey, make sure, hold on a second. And then it cuts back into the town of Michigan, where they bring the whole teacups and all the furniture from the house back to where they are. But after he got back on the phone with Katee Sackhoff, is like, hey, you can get your life back, you accomplish your mission, and he's like, screw that, basically, and he throws it out overboard. And so, yeah. But overall, this is a good series, and so was Gargoyles, like I said. I don't know why I said that though. One problem with referencing good movies, lesser known ones, and they're pretty good. So I probably was thinking that though. But after all that, they get out of there, and so. But I really enjoyed it because, like I said, by the end, he's in this other country, and hears gunfire, and it turns out he sees that Ishka, you know, on the run too. So, but I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. So I had plenty of fun with I had plenty of fun with the film, and it was gory enough though. At least I can give lenience on it. But the whole idea, like, it was pretty crazy, and but I really enjoyed Fight or Flight. I think it's a very fun film. I think it deserves more respect than it deserves. I think it deserves more attention. but probably not because this film bombed though. I mean, it was so much fun. It was a lot of fun watching this film. Definitely. But anyway, but if anyone's not seen Fight or Flight, please check it out. I recommend you. It'd be very, if for anyone who's an action fan, I recommend you check out Fight or Flight. I was like I said before, it's definitely I'll put in my maybe probably my top three favorites this year. So we'll see on the rest though. But overall, it was still very fun though. It's definitely what I said. Definitely one of my probably my top three favorites this year. So anyway, so that's my review for Fight or Flight. Well, this film got positive reviews from critics, so, and so. But Fight or Flight, I recommend you check it out if you have seen it. If you don't, then stop this video right now and go back to it. But yeah. But that's Fight or Flight. Definitely a fun film. I definitely give it a thumbs up. Definitely. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time on the next movie review. Later.